Okay, this is Hydra player tracking configuration part 4, which is miscellaneous configuration settings. Typically, most of the configuration settings are in the admin panel. We've gone over create user, edit users, roles and permissions, language. Error log is for internal use. Card images we went over in the first video, where you put your images of your actual cards. Let's go to app settings. First tab is RFID. This is if you're using an RFID card, but if you're using a mag stripe card, you don't need to worry about that. Award configuration is very important. This is where you tell the system how many points you're going to award for every coin played. Okay, for example, in my system I have, the drop down will show you all the equipped machines. I have 4 machines. So the first machine, IGT1, has an accounting unit of 0.01. This is not changeable. This is read-only from Hydra. And the data field that you make is the middle one here. You tell it how many points you want to give for every coin. Okay, so in the way it's set up right now, I have 1 point for 1 coin. The accounting unit is 1 cent. So for every dollar played, it would win 100 points. That's for testing purposes. Typically, customers give 1 point for every dollar spent if it was US dollars. So this one I would set to 100. So I get 1 point for every 100 coins. The coin is 1 cent. So it would be 1 point for every dollar bet, every dollar played. Now, you can adjust these machines individually. For example, if you have poker machines that are played very intensely, you might want to say you get 1 point for every $2, or 1 point for every $3, or 1 point for every $1.50. All the machines can be done independently, but that's the way this works. If the accounting unit was $1, then you would say 1 point for every 1 coin. So the best way to do this is to set this up the way it looks logically, and then test the machine to make sure it's incrementing the proper number of points for the proper amount of play. You save for each machine. So you do one machine, then you do the next machine, and so forth and so on, one at a time. General settings. This is where you put the images in that come out on your ID card, on your coupons, the tickets that are printed out of the system, etc., etc. So there are 2 different images that you have to upload. The receipt image and the employee card. And then it's telling you here that it wants it to be, this image wants to be 200 by 200 pixels. And it wants this image to be 200 by 400 pixels. So you select the image from your pictures library, and then you save right here. Okay, this is the name of the casino. This is the currency. In this particular case, this casino is in Costa Rica, and the currency is called Costa Rican Colon. And again, you set those items up, you hit save. Over here on the right section is the position on the card where the word plus appears. We'll get into that a little bit later. Just remember that there's a field here to set that up. It's an XY coordinate. The X coordinate is 1 to 300. The y coordinate is 1 to 200. And it's the XY position on the card, and then that's the font size, 16. And you hit save. Okay. This is where you select your printers. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you have a receipt printer and a card printer. That's my DTC Fargo printer, and this is my Bixalon printer. And it says copy to. And the reason for that is every time you unplug a printer and you plug it into a different USB port, or you simply relocate the printer and you plug it back in to a different USB port, it always assigns a new copy, so you have to go in and select that proper copy. Troubleshooting note here, troubleshooting tip: if the printer's not working, it's probably because you moved the USB port and it's assigned a new number. If you'll notice here, I have copy 2. Before it was copy 1, before there was no copy at all. So you just have to make sure that's assigned properly and then hit save, and the printers will work fine. This tab right here is where you set the closing time of the casino, and it doesn't have to be the exact closing time. If the closing time of the casino is 2 a.m., you can set it for 3 a.m. All this does is it provides an hour to close the day. So when you're taking stats on your player traffic, you want to say how much did this person play in one day. It's going to be up to the closing time of that casino. The checkbox underneath it is if you want the players to be automatically checked out at closing time. That's only if you use the check-in, check-out feature, but I believe that's only used in Trinidad. This is the max number of pin attempts that a person can try on the kiosk. So if they type in the bad pin 4 times, it locks the player out, and the player has to be manually reset from the customer service terminal. Save those. Next tab. This is when we initialize the system. So we'll load a database in, and then we'll initialize the system, and that'll bring that database back to 0. This is the threshold when a number of points takes you from one level to the next. So we go from gold to platinum at 40,000 points, from platinum to titanium at 150,000 points. These are the level names of the 3 levels of our cards. This right section over here, if this box is checked, then in order for you to maintain your level in 60 days, you have to have played 40,000 points to maintain that level. If you want to maintain this level, level 3, you have to, in 60 days, have to play 150,000 points. If you don't play 150,000 points, you revert back from level 3 to level 2, which is titanium to platinum. And if you don't play 40,000, you'll revert from platinum to gold. Now, this particular casino set this at 60 days, but it could be set for 1 year. It could be set to 365 days if you don't want to be too stringent on your players. And then you would hit save. This is the adjustments that you make for where you want the name and player ID number to be printed on the card. Okay, so the first thing you would do is you would select the card, gold. You would select the font size, which is 12, which is the stock size, default. The player name and player number are both set to 12. The X location is set at 40. X is 1 to 300. Y is 1 to 200. So we have the card number at 40 and 140. We have the name at 40 and 165, which is right under the number. So you can play around with that. If you want to move that position of where the number and name are printed on the card, depending on the graphic of the card that you're using, you might want to move it up or down, right or left. Now, this does not appear on the Add Player screen, but it will appear when you print the card. Here's where you select the color. So if it's black and white ribbon, you want to choose black. If you're printing a card and the card goes through the printer, but when it comes out the other end, there's no text printed, it's probably because you have the color set to white. So there is no color. Check that as a troubleshooting tip. Save. Last but not least, there's a feature called stacked promos. And this is just saying, do you want to use stacked promos or do you not want to use stacked promos? A stacked promo is this. Let's say, for example, you have Monday nights double points for all members. But you also have a feature where you say, on your birthday, when you come in, you get triple points. So a stacked value would be, you would come in on Monday night and you would not only get double points, but you would get triple that because it's your birthday. So you would get 6x instead of 2x or 3x. If you say no, then it only reverts to the highest multiple value. So you would get the triple points for your birthday, but you would not get the double points for being Monday night. That's what that field means. Okay, and the next button here is print card back. So you already previously had put the image of your card back here in the card images. Now this is only if your card does not have a back on it. If it's just a white backed card, you might want to put some text on there. Normally the cards are already printed with the text, so you don't normally use this, but it has the option. If you wanted to print the back on a card, you would just simply select the card printer and print. Number of copies, etc. Promo offers is going to be the next video. Prize operations will be the video after that. I changed the name of this to Locked Players. It was Locked Users before. I like Locked Players better. Locked Users sounds like it's one of the employees that's locked. Events, we'll get into that later. Exceptions Viewer, that's internal. Okay, and then we have Hydra Settings. This is a fail-safe. This is the max difference threshold that a meter can have, and this number is divided by the accounting unit. So if your accounting unit is 0.01, this will actually have another 2 zeros. Again, this is for the currency of colones, which is 500 colones is $1, so it's a big number. Normally this number would not be this big. Normally, if this was US dollars, this machine might be, or this setting might be 500. This is the maximum number of points that a player can win in one session. And I'll explain why. This is the maximum a player can bet in any one bet. These are fail-safes. Let me explain why. Let's say you have a machine that is a counting unit of $1, and you have a machine that's a counting unit of 1 cent. and those machines get moved, exchanged, one to the one side and the other one to the other side. Now all of a sudden the meters are way out of proportion, and so instead of crediting a player 1,000 points for every dollar, you know, you have to have a fail-safe that says, hey, you know what, something's not right here. We have fail-safes here to stop any big events from happening that aren't correct. And that's why you have these max settings in here. This is the maximum limit that a player can redeem per day, 150,000 points. And this is the maximum time in minutes that a player can play in one session. Now, if the player wants to play more than 240 minutes, all they have to do is pull their card out and reinsert it. And, you know, I'm going to help, you know, with these settings based on your currency. After that, we have a user login. So this is who's logged in, when they logged in. Manage floors and reposition machines. We'll get into that in another video. Edit player points and edit player sessions will be part of the operation. So we'll get into that in another video. That concludes configuration part 4.